Welcome back to Soundcheck. This is episode 14. For those of you that are watching on YouTube and are potentially slightly confused, I am not joined by Adam Yokum today. He was a little bit sick and getting ready for a trip to Nashville for the next few days to work on some music. So he called me and was like, yo, I'm not feeling so hot. I don't know what we're going to do. And I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to call somebody and get a substitute in here that we can talk and drop some gems. So I called a good friend of mine. His name is JZAC. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. Yeah, I'm play some substitute minutes, come off the bench. I'm happy to be here. Shoot the shit, like you said.
Yeah, no, you're always welcome here. And yeah, you're someone I've known for a long time. Just to give people context, you're originally from New Hampshire. We've known each other for at least a decade at this point. I remember rocking shows together in Connecticut and in Boston back in the early days. And yeah, you just been grinding nonstop. I think 2011 you said was the first time you dropped music on YouTube, stuff like that.
Yeah, man, 2011, which is crazy. Blessed to still be doing it and still just be passionate to do it, I think, is another thing.
Yeah.
Because still is just so fun.
You're someone that I see when I see your content and hear your music. I get that exact sentiment from it. It looks like you're still enjoying yourself, and although this is a career that you've chosen and have been able to build it into that, it feels like you're still full of passion, still hungry, still trying to figure out how to get to the next level. I think as we all are, and yeah, I think we're about the same age, so it's just always inspiring to see other folks like just still at it at the same level and just constantly getting to the next part of what they're doing.
Yeah, man, it's a blessing to just still care, I guess. Like I'm happy that, I don't know, I just love doing it. I mean, it has its, I have my frustrations with all of it on certain days and whatnot, but at the end of the day, once I take a step back, I'm like, this is just fucking dope. I can't be mad at this.
For sure.
I'm sure you probably feel the same way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel lucky to still be inspired and still having fun. There's definitely days where, it feels like a job, and there's parts of this job that aren't necessarily the most enjoyable, like clipping up content or, being on email or whatever it is. There's any job has its like ups and downs and like kind of bright spots, but overall it's like such a blessing to be able to make music and like kind of fuck around with your friends and turn it into something that you get to pay your rent from. It's pretty dope.
Exactly.
And you've been, correct me if I'm wrong, you've been independent the entire time, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So similar path, I think, and I'm sure we have some of the same experiences, some different ones too. But being independent comes with its peaks and valleys, so to speak. Can you tell me, just speak on that a little bit? Like, what was one of the first moments of you being like, oh, this is working. This is something that I need to double down on this part of what I'm doing, or, I have some belief in what's going on. Because we all kind of start at a place where, all right, we're making music probably from home or like at a local studio. You're making no money. No one knows who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
You're just trying to like figure it out. What was kind of like the first splash that gave you some, some hope?
I would say it was probably like 2014, 15 ish when I started like just getting, I think it was Twitter, where the Twitter video was just became a thing. And like I would just post the 30-second freestyle clips on there. And I finally kind of figured out that like the system was gamified in a way where there was these like freestyle accounts posting stuff. And I like put two and two together and I was like, oh, people are like reaching out to these accounts to post their stuff, they're probably paying. So I just started hitting up these accounts with like, 100,000, 200,000 followers. And I was like, yo, can you just post this clip of me? And they were like, yeah, man, like $50, $60, whatever. So I'd like throw money, but then they'd post it and it would get received really well. And it started to get like hundreds of retweets and like thousands of views, which at the time besides like friends who were listening or like friends of friends. I didn't have like fans yet. And once I started seeing the retweets and stuff click and people like commenting and following my account that I just didn't, I'm like clicking into their account and it says they're from Florida or like random states. I'm like, oh, there's actual people that would listen to my music. Like something, you know what I mean? It was like that clicking moment of like, oh, this is bigger than
It's
just,
a little bit of a proof of concept.
yeah. Like I'm not just like the local rap guy now. In my head, at least, I'm like, this is working. Something's here.
Right. Interesting. I knew about that stuff, but I wasn't super tapped into that side of Twitter for some reason. I maybe feel like I probably should have been. I feel like for me, in that era, it was more like the Swagytacks, the promoting sounds, the SoundCloud
Mhm.
pages that would repost your song,
Yep.
whether it was like, paid or not or whatever, just like finding community in those spaces.
Yeah.
Um, that's what felt like connected me to fans, but also a ton of artists. And there was a lot of artists in that circle that were getting kind of promoted on similar platforms.
Yep.
A lot of those ended up being people I worked with and still friends through this day. And that even might be how I heard about you for the first time, because I think you had some songs on Swagytacks, right?
Yep. Yeah, that era was, like, shortly after, like, the Twitter era snowballed
Got it.
into, like, Swagytracks and promoting sounds for me. Um,
Got it.
yeah, so it was yeah, that era was crazy. Like, just to think about how much and I feel like I recently had this conversation, but, like, how much pull those YouTube channels had with, like, if they posted your song, it was like it could be a life-changing thing at that time. Like,
For
it
real,
was they were
dude.
getting, like,
It's such a
hundreds and
different era.
thousands of views, and I feel like everything wasn't so oversaturated where maybe the views and, like, the attention went a little further then. So I remember, like Russ at the time would get posted, like, every single week on Swaggy Tracks,
Uh-huh.
and, I mean, he was dropping a new song every week, but I think Swaggy Tracks just liked his music too, so it was like I, like, watched him blow up in real time off of I mean, I'm sure he was doing a bunch of stuff, but just watching Swaggy Tracks post his videos and, like, each one would get, like, 250,000 views, and I was like, "Yo, I gotta get on these YouTube channels more," and I know every artist was thinking it, but, they just it had to be organic, and they're gonna post what they wanted to post at the end of the day, but if you can get in, like, in that era with some of those channels, it was, like, crazy.
Yeah. And just for people listening to that may not be familiar, it was basically just static audio, meaning like not really a visual at all. And it
Yep.
was just a photo of like the beach or some shit. And then it would say Swaggy Tracks, which was the name of this channel. And they were just promoting music. And then it would play a JZAC song. And it was just like, for some reason, they found a way to reach so many fucking people. They just had such a big listenership. And I think a lot of it was from the Russ, the Logic, the G-Eazy, like that kind of era of hip
Yeah.
hop and like that fan base. I know there's a lot of overseas people that were listening to from those channels, but
Yeah.
yeah. So we could talk about this. I wasn't even planning on going here, but uh when you first saw that in your mind, what was your like approach on okay, I got to get whoever's curating this to pay attention to what I'm doing and support it. And how did you attempt to go about that, whether it worked or not?
Yeah, I think it was kind of a learning lesson now. You're like unlocking this memory because I remember reaching out to some of those accounts, just like cold DMing them, being like, "Yo, here's my song." Like I'm sure everybody did at one point, but they would just never hit me back. And then organically, one of the like Twitter, Instagram videos I posted at the time was like an actual song I had put, but I just clipped like the 30-second verse of it, and the song was kind of going viral. And then Swaggy Tracks one day just posted it, like it circulated enough, and it clicked again where I was like, oh, okay, so sometimes like people will find you when the time is right. You can reach out and do stuff
Totally.
and make things shake as much as you can, but sometimes like you just got to get it moving yourself, and like those other things will fall into line. And I remember him just posting it randomly one day, and I was like, this is crazy. Like I
Uh-huh.
couldn't never get an answer for like a year and a half. I was like trying to hit up other artists that would get posted to be like, "Yo, maybe we should do a song together," or like whatever. I got followers on SoundCloud. That'll help you, and then maybe they'll post our song and it'll make it bigger, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just an organic thing, and it was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't
That
kinda
was
crazy.
that was a big part of my approach, because similarly, like, yeah, I saw these channels, I was like, "Alright, I think I'm making similar music to this. I think this audience would like my songs. I gotta figure this out." But couldn't get a response on email, Twitter, all these things. Um, so I started going into, like, the artists and then hitting up the artists, like,
Yep.
basically like, "Hey, let's do a song together. Let's do," and my idea was like, okay, up until that point, I didn't really collab with anybody, and I was just making my own music, and I told myself I wanna collaborate more because I know I can expand, and learn from other artists too on a creative side, um, and it just felt like the perfect community to try to insert myself into, so I was just like, "Okay, I'm gonna try to be undeniably, like, on these folks' radar." And just work with as many of these artists that they're posting as I can, drop as much music as possible. I dropped a song a week for like 2.5 years in a row, and that was, like, while Russ was doing it too, and I noticed, like, he was doing that, so I was like, "Alright, I'm just gonna do that." And I was graduating college and, like, just on the outside of, like, being done with it and just, like, living in my mom's crib, being in the basement, saving up money to, like, move to LA one day, but I had all the time in the world and a home studio, so it was very easy to just, like, I'm just gonna make a fuck ton of music and just see what happens,
Mhm.
and I remember the first time they reposted my song on Soundcloud, which ironically was one without a feature, but I know they saw it because I was working with X, Y, and Z, you know,
Yeah.
and I was getting, like, 5 to 10,000 streams on SoundCloud every single time I dropped, which for me at that point, I was, like, stoked out of my mind because I was like, "There's people listening right now, so I'm doing something
Yeah.
right." I remember Swagytacks posted, it was a song called "Back in the City" in 2015, had, like, 150K on SoundCloud in, like, a month, and,
Crazy.
like, my Instagram was getting flooded with people, like, I was like, "Yo, I'm literally gonna blow up, like, now," you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't happen quite like that, but it was the first time I felt like there was a lot of eyeballs, and then it was really easy to get feature from this person, that person, because they're like, "Oh, this is Swaggy Tracks guy." It was such a little niche, like, era and weird part of
It
the
was.
music world that I feel like only some people, like, really understand what we're saying, but, uh, yeah, it's crazy. I wasn't even planning on touching this at all, but it's, uh, it's crazy to look back on because yeah, it's such a different time now.
So, yeah, it's crazy how I mean, it was a while ago, but, like, it's crazy how fast it changes, uh, in general, like, music industry-wise. Like, they had that run for probably a good few years, but then, 2018, 19, I feel like TikTok probably came out, and that shook up everything, and SoundCloud obviously phased out, and Spotify kinda reigned king and all that, and then Spotify playlist thing, I feel like had its era of everyone was only focused on, like, trying to land Spotify playlists. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, man, this it's
that was a
constantly
whole 'nother
just
era too. Yeah.
yeah.
I wanna go back a little bit and talk
Mhm.
about, like, the Twitter thing where you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna try to get on this page." And so you hit up this page and they're like, "Hey, it's $60 and we'll post your video or retweet you or whatever." In your head, were you automatically like, "Fuck yes, I'm gonna pay this $60. This is worth it." Or did you have some, "Nah, man, they should be I shouldn't have to pay because 'cause I'm dope." And, like, that's how because I think that's how a lot of artists think, and I think that's where a lot of artists run into roadblocks because they're unwilling to bet on theirself or understand, like, where the value is had. Um, so yeah, talk about that a little bit, like, just your perspective
Yeah.
on it back then at least.
Yeah. I don't think I cared about it wasn't so much that I was like, I deserve to not pay because 'cause I'm dope. It was more like $60 is kinda steep at the time, like, that seemed like a lot of money, and I was like, "Fuck, is it worth it for, like, a tweet?" You know what I mean? I'm like, "Is that it?" I was kinda juggling with that
Yeah,
idea, and then I'm like, "Well, nothing else has worked really, so fuck it, try it." Like, what if this dude just steals my money, like, and just PayPaling a random dude $60, like, who
yeah,
not
dude.
like, what is just a random scammer? And, it worked, like, there's, like, a day buffer where he was like, "Yeah, I'll post tomorrow when it's hot, when the timeline's hot," and I'm like, "I don't know what the fuck that means," but, uh, okay, well, my $60 is just gone, and then it went up, and then once I saw it work, and I was like, oh, this is just like paying, this is like an ad, but people didn't even
Yeah.
know it was an ad at the time. It was kind of like the
Right.
first generation of like all the shit you see online now, and like people clipping and paying to post and stuff. I mean, it's way more normalized than a thing, but like
Right.
those are the early. I was like ahead of the curve with it for sure.
Yeah, no, it's dope. I think yeah, dude, it's fucking crazy when you think about like all the little just like marketing tricks that you try over the years. It's way less now because I think there's not really things like that anymore. You kind of just have to figure out what's going to connect with people, and like the algorithm will kind of take care of it in a
Yeah,
sense. But yeah, back then there were platforms or like playlists or like SoundCloud things, or maybe you find some dude online that like you love a beat from him and you got to pay $50 for the beat. Like
yeah,
how many times we've probably just blindly like PayPal'd someone $50 and just going like, all right, hopefully this works out with like what I'm supposed to do, or like
yeah.
hopefully this works out the way I want it to. And I feel like it usually does. I can't think of a time I've ever been like scammed in that way, but also I guess you vet things before you kind of pull the trigger. But yeah, just using the internet as a tool to move the needle on your music is again just a unique thing that I think both of us relate on. And yeah, some people just wouldn't really, I guess, understand what's going on.
You really had to like. I mean, you still do to this day, of course, but like you had to digitally hustle and figure out like creative ass ways to try to get new people to hear your music, and you can only do it through like obsession and knowing trial and error and stuff. Like we were talking about Swagytacks stuff. It was such a niche thing, but if you cared about it enough, you would find those pockets and then like learn things and see how things move. And because you just spend enough time on the internet and in a space where like your music was or where you wanted it to be, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, so I could try this angle, and then you'll try 5 doors and none of them work, but then that sixth one something unlocks, and you're like, oh, okay, I got a little further. And
Yep.
yeah, I mean,
Yep.
it's still like that for sure, but I think it's kind of evened out with like now it's more like can you make the algorithm work? What can you do to make the algorithm work for you? Whether it's like hooks or entertaining concepts and that stuff. Everyone's kind of maybe the playing field is a little more level. Maybe I don't know the right word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you got to find a way to build your own platform instead of
Mm,
trying to utilize other ones that are already built. Uh, and I think now like community is everything, which is big reason why I do this podcast. Like I was saying before we kind of hit record, you were asking about, how this has been going and like, does it feel like it's like worth it? And to me, like it definitely is, because this is a tool to connect with people that I know connect with Adam and I's music, or one of us or whatever, or like just the whole like approach of kind of building your own small business uh online, like how we're talking about. So yeah, it's a definitely a different game now. Um but back to like the peaks and valleys of being independent. So you see some success, Twitter stuff, like online things are rolling a little bit. You're starting to see there's a little bit more consistency in terms of eyeballs on the work that you're putting out. Um, can you think of any valleys or like roadblocks that stick out to your mind right away that you had to overcome to kind of get to the next chapter? Because we're talking, this is 10 years ago. So you've been doing this, you've been thinking about this basically every day for 10 years at least.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, what are some things that you had to like jump through or overcome or like really figure out?
I think a big one is you kind of you think like maybe early on you're like if this one song goes like I'm good. I'll make it. I'll make a bunch of money or I'll get signed or like it'll be the thing that breaks me through. And it was like then I started to have those moments at least to like a certain degree where a song would kind of go viral or start to get like hundreds of thousands of streams and stuff, and then nothing would happen, and like nothing life changing. I'd kind of build again. I'd slowly build up more fans, and I'd be able to um, just navigate more and like do cool stuff. But it wasn't like I kind of realized this is a long game type of thing, and you're just like slowly going to build this.
Mhm.
Um, at least with my journey, like, maybe, there are some people who maybe put out a song and they're like, this song just went crazy, got
Yeah.
millions and millions of streams, and then I got signed to this label and this thing happened. But with me, it's always just been such a slow climb. Um, and I think early on, I was like, if this one thing happens, that'll break me. But it's like, oh, this is just kind of, this is the long grind here, man, which is cool, but
Yeah.
it took some adjusting. It's a lot of like, especially once you get a little motion, because you're like, okay, what's next? Have I run out of juice? Have I made my last good song? Like, how am I going to top that thing that I made? And it's like this constant anxious stream of thought that you like battle with. Especially if like, you're having a bad day, you're in a creative rut or whatever. It's like, you'll have those small glimpses of being like, ah, man, maybe it's over. Maybe that's it. Which is so
Yeah.
not true, but you just get in your own head as artists do.
We've talked about that a bit on here. Just how most of the time, at least for career musicians in like a blue collar sense, like I like to use that term because, we're not Drake, but we're also not like, you know, at an open mic with no money, like working a regular job and
Yeah.
like just have like a pipe dream. It's like somewhere in the middle, like it's like a working
Middle
class.
class artists.
Yeah, it's kind of like a unique thing. It's kind of new, I think. And there's a lot of us. But for us, like there's no like I made it moment. It's just brick by brick, song by song, fan by fan, video by video, whatever it is. Which to me, I love, and I think I would choose that even if I did have a choice. Like you can't choose like if you get a hit, right? Like you could have a song blow up tomorrow that you put out 3 years ago, and then you know it's number one on Billboard, and it's a huge thing. That'd be awesome. I'm sure it'd be a great day. But if it was like that for like your first song or what we're doing, I feel like this is just more sustainable. You have a lot more control, and think about like today versus 2014 when you were just getting started and like, you know, that guy hit retweet on your tweet, like you had no idea what the hell's going on or like how to even probably monetize the music you were putting out properly, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's why you're someone that I really respect, because you've just kind of stuck it out and did the work. Like there was really no shortcuts. Um, Even if you had the option to take one, it's like it's just yeah, it's a slow build and it's some of that's gonna last most likely as well, you know.
Yeah.
So back then in 2014, sorry, I keep going back there, but I'm just thinking of that moment because it
Great
probably
time.
just felt like a big deal. Uh, you're like, all right, I got to spend this $60. What were you doing for work at that time?
I was working at Market Basket, which is, I mean, if
Fucking
you're a New
go
Englander, you're very familiar with Market
like us.
Basket. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I was working at Market Basket. I graduated. I was kind of in a similar boat as you. I graduated uh college at the time. I moved back in with my mom for a bit, and I was like, I don't want to. I had this thing. I think it was like a two-part type of thing in my head where I was like, I don't want to try to get like a career full-time job. One, because people were like, what are you gonna do? And I was like, I'm gonna do music. And they're like, you can't do that. And I was like, well, I'm gonna prove you wrong. So it was like the that part of my head where I'm like, no, I'm not even gonna like try to get a real job. Like I'll show you. But also
Something
genuinely,
sustainable. Yeah.
I was like, I really just want to work part time and like make enough money where I could survive, but also have the free time and like be able to move around. And if I did need a tour, go tour and take time off and like just put as much as I can into the music and like actually build that business. So I was like, I'm just gonna try to like just work part time hours and focus on the music as much as I could. So I did that um, for like 5 years and was just like trying to just slowly grinding it out. It was crazy.
When you say 5 years, you were at Market Basket for 5 years, or just doing like some sort of side job to kind of supplement your income, and then after that 5 year period, you went full time, or walk me through that a little.
Yeah, it was. I think I did Market Basket for like a year or two, and then I switched over to Frito Lay warehouse. Same similar job, just warehouse packing stuff. But I did that for four, 3-4 years until 2019 when I moved to LA in 2019 and decided to just try to be an artist full time. I had because at that point I started making money for a few years off music, but it wasn't like anything crazy. But I kind of was just able to save money, stack it aside, still work, and then like properly plan a move and do a just like a calculated leap of faith as opposed to just like I start seeing music money and was like I'm out. I was like, nah, let me
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
like figure this out first.
totally. And just for people listening too that might be upcoming artists or people that are just kind of interested in how this works, um, if you're okay with like kind of diving into this a bit, when you say you first started making music or started seeing music money, was that mostly from like the streaming side or touring, or like what was kind of like your pie, I guess, at that point when you're like, okay, I'm gonna take the leap and be calculated and like just fucking swing the bat and do this.
Yeah, no, it was all internet, Spotify, streaming service money for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there was some other random show money and stuff, little things that would add on to it, but for the most part, it was just monthly checks from streaming, which was crazy at the time. Like getting
Got it.
those first, it wasn't even a ton of money, but just seeing money from streams, especially if you know how we came up in the SoundCloud era.
Yeah.
Like SoundCloud wasn't paying, so like when we switched over and
Right.
Spotify, or you started uploading to Spotify and stuff, and then you would see that it would actually pay out. It was like, what the fuck? It was almost like I thought something was wrong for a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah. For sure.
Hmm.
Um. Yeah, it's dope, and that's a testament to building catalog and remaining independent, right? Like, I think similarly, um, I've never had like a huge song, right? But like I have 350 of them that I've put out between Dylan Reese and Ellis, like especially now that I have both of those. Um, you don't even necessarily need a big song. Like it'd be nice, don't get me wrong, to have one like really go and like make us a ton of money. But if you build those blocks and actually own it, um, can add up and account for somewhat of a sustainable living. In my case, I'm doing a lot of other things too. Like it's not just streaming by any means. But it is a part of my income and has been for over a decade, which is, like you said, just surreal because I remember making songs and just hoping someone would hear it one day, let alone have enough people to pay my bills off of Spotify and Apple Music and all this. Um, so from the time you moved to LA till now, what do you feel like has been uh, the key to remaining consistent and either maintaining that business model or making it grow? I don't know if it has grown a ton since then or kind of how you see it from your shoes.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster of ups and downs. But how? I mean, just kind of keep dropping, keep putting up the shots. Really, that's
Yeah.
really just been my strategy, and that's like what I want to do. You know, sometimes I do get a little burnt out, and I need to take breaks, and it could get exhausted. But like after a bit, I'm just like, well, it's time to make more music. Like this is kind of all I know at this point, you know, and I'm still inspired by it and want to do it, of course. But like the muscle memory of just I make music, I put it out, I promote it
It's just what
is
you do.
so.
Yeah.
It's like it's all I know. Sometimes I'm like, this is all I've done my adult life. It's like kind of crazy at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. How old are you? Remind me.
30, 34.
34. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
33. So yeah,
yeah.
I've literally never done anything else. And it's crazy to like zoom out and think about because most people that are 33, 34 not that we don't have life skills, like, we're not just, like, idiots, like, that only know how to rap, right? But it's like, I don't have a work resume or, like there's a lot of things that adults are doing that I'm just like, "Guys, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about." I know how to make songs. I know how to put them out. I know how to, like, market myself. I know how to go on tour. I know how to communicate in the world of, like, being an independent musician, but, like, sometimes I feel so behind in other aspects of life where I'm just like, "This is all I know," like, because it's all I've thought about since I was 16.
Yeah. No, it's funny, man. I'm in the same boat of like, I just recently thought to myself, I was like, should I make a LinkedIn? Like, 'cause I do so much like corporate business stuff, and I feel like it'd be kind of cool to like showcase that in a way that's not just like in my Instagram page, but I'm also like, do I need? I don't know. It's just like, that's what adults do, right? And I'm like trying to showcase my profile a little bit, and yeah, I just had that thought. I was like, do I make a LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's funny. Um, so you haven't toured and, yeah, you've done some shows in the past. Um, you recently just played in Montana, right, for the first time? How was that?
It was good, man. Yeah, it was a small uh town, very like just chill little area, and the promoter who put it on was also just like a fan of the music. So they've been trying to like liven up their music scene, and I don't think they get a lot of acts that come there. Uh the people who do, I think they really appreciate it. So it was great. I mean, it was a small crowd for sure, but I had people who were just diehard fans who were, just so happy to be there and were pumped that I came through. Um, I had a dad and his daughter who drove like 4 hours to come, and they had like custom merch that they had made and stuff. So just little stuff like that
Awesome.
makes the whole show worth it, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, no, for sure. I know that feeling. Um, it's dope to get out there and kinda see what's what and, just plant some seeds because, like you said, like, that daughter or that dad and daughter, that probably made their week, month, year, like, you have no idea, so, you know, you taking a chance on yourself to fly out there and go see what's up, super dope. Um, I know we haven't announced this yet, but you're gonna be doing a tour this summer, and we don't got details yet, but West Coast, you and Dylan Owen go do some shows. Um, let's talk about that a little bit. I know you're we talked, before because I'm helping book the tour and put it all together for you guys. But yeah, you excited for that? What are some things that you're kind of looking forward to, or anything you're kind of maybe worried about, or I don't know, because I know it's kind of your first time doing like a full swing, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm hyped, man. I think I kind of got to the point a little bit where I'm like burnt out from the internet, as I'm sure everyone is, but just more in the like in the sense of like the music, where I'm like you got to go outside and meet people and talk to, shake some hands. So I've had that itch the last like year. So even just doing that Montana show has got me hyped to just go out and do cool stuff. It's like when you're independent, you can do whatever you want. And I'm like trying to remind myself that it's like, if you want to do like a small pop up event somewhere, like, there's no rules. Um, and you could do it online, but like I kind of have neglected the fact of just doing more in person stuff. So I'm trying to kind of double down on that. And yeah, I haven't done like a full West Coast tour before. I've done some random one off West Coast dates. But to just actually like do a proper tour is so exciting. And there's like a handful of cities that will be on that list that I have yet to be in, and I've had fans telling me to come there for years, so I know it's gonna be dope.
Hell yeah, I'm excited for you guys to go rock. It's gonna be a good time.
I was gonna say, because I know you had just wrapped up that run that you were on, and how did that go? Was good? I feel like from
Yeah,
everything you posted about it, it seemed like you knocked it out the park.
dude, it was a blast. Yeah, me and Ollie, Joseph, we co-headlined together. We hit 9 cities, and a lot of those cities I've played a bunch as support over the years, but never headlined and like did my own show. So Our goal was to just do the smallest rooms possible, like kind of similar like how I'm doing for y'all. Um, and yeah, just like build that community and like go hang out and try to put on the best show that I can do, which I feel like I did a pretty good job. I had Sham who plays keys for me. Um, we crushed it, dude. We had a great time. But there was no like sometimes you go on tour, especially like the longer the tour is, there's always like one or two like shows where you're like, why the fuck are we here? Like we must have just booked this because we were driving through and like this wasn't not a good market for us, not a good idea, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We had none of that. Like every single show we had was really fun. Um, even the ones with like smaller crowds, it was diehard fans, like you said, like in Montana. Like we had in Detroit, that was like our smallest crowd. And it was 31 tickets, but it was like 100 cap room. So it's still intimate. It's still fun. It wasn't, I don't think anybody was there like, where the fuck is everybody? Like everyone was just there to have a good time and like connect with us. And it was a blast, dude. And like other shows were 60 people, 80 people, 100 people. Like it was kind of all just like in that realm. But again, all in small rooms. I get really inspired when I get to speak to people face to face that listen to what we're doing. And you know, you sell merch, you hang out. I have this little Polaroid like scrapbook. I take photos of people and like put them in our scrapbook, and then I look back at memories, and it's dope, man. It was a great time. It's my favorite thing about what we do. Um, it's so easy to get caught up in like the numbers on a screen and checking your analytics on Spotify or TikTok and all this stuff because it's all important, right? Like it's part of the business, especially for somebody like you. Like your internet presence is like a big part of why you're doing what you're doing and like how you're able to stay afloat, right? So like it is important and it's like important to understand and learn how to grow it. But when you go see people, it feels like such a different level of impact and it makes me feel like what I'm doing matters. So that's what keeps me like really, really inspired. It's not seeing a graph go up. It's like, yo, this song, you know, we got married to your song. It's like, all right, well, that's all I need to know. Like, I'll make fucking 100 more songs then, you know? Uh, so yeah, it was dope. Really good time.
That's dope, man. Yeah, no, you hit it on the head with that. Like once you meet people in person and they start telling you stuff like that, even just breaking down lyrics and telling you what it did for them, whatever, it's like, yeah, instant reminder. You go back home just like so inspired, ready to take over the world. Where it's like
Yeah,
sometimes you get messages online and stuff, and those I've gotten, incredible messages online, but over a screen, it's like you feel it and you appreciate it and you're there for it. But when you're out in person, it's like, oh, okay. You're looking someone in the eyes and they're telling you something. It hits different.
for sure. I was gonna ask, over the years, have you gotten approached by a major label, either for like a single deal or like, I mean, you had something going up and people are calling and you've just kind of opted out? Is that what's been going on?
Never like fully on. Like I've had labels and stuff like reach out, like kind of touch base, or just be like, "What's going on? Like, would you take a meeting or whatever?" And I've taken meetings, but it's all stuff that's kind of like fizzled out. It's never like we want to
Mhm.
sign this song or like we want to sign you, but they almost like it's like they keep tabs on you in a way where they're just like, yeah, we're just checking in,
Totally.
man. Like, what's good? What are you working on? I saw this song pop up or this moment happened. What else is in the tank? Um,
Yeah.
so so yeah, stuff like that over the
And it
years.
has any of that ever intrigued you and like it just fizzled out because it just didn't work out? Or was it you kind of being like, all right, I'd rather kind of own the means of my operation and just like swing the bat and be independent? Or is like that something you'd be open to, I guess?
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be open to it if it was the right, as long as it's the right play for me and I can still maneuver how I want and I have say at the end of the day. Like I'm down with it. But yeah, I mean, it's been kind of there's been times where it's fizzled out from like the label and I just didn't hear anything, or there's times where I've been offered like some smaller type deals from like indie labels or like whatever distributors, and I'm like, it's it's just not worth it's not worth it at the end of the day. At least that specific deal wasn't. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kinda hard to know until you enter those conversations and do it, um, because, we all work really hard, and to some capacity, it's validating when, like, a major company or, like, just anybody that has got some money to throw at you is, like, willing to do that, right? Because it's like, "Alright,
mhm,
that means I did a good job, and, like, this is gonna help me pay my rent for X amount of time." And it's harder to kinda zoom out and see the bigger picture because there's also just a lot of unknown with stuff like that. Um, for me, I'm kind of at a point where it would have to be, like, just an insanely obvious, like, green light, green light, green light deal because I just value, like, making every decision myself, even if I'm not always making the best decision. I just know that even if I make the wrong one, I'm gonna learn and then become better at what I'm doing, like, year after year, you know? So, that's just, like, my approach, and I don't think there's a right or wrong one, but I was just curious after being independent so long if you're, yeah, kinda like, "Alright, now I'm ready to get signed because I've already proved it, and I feel like I'm worth this much, and, I wanna explore a different route," or if you're just like, "Yeah, I kinda know how to do this. I'm just gonna keep building it," and you can just kinda stay out of the industry, quote, unquote, and just, like, run your own little thing. Because that's kinda how I see it. It's like, I wanna make as much money as I can and create as much, like, execute as many ideas as I can without even being, like, in the industry in a sense. Like, they don't even need to know I exist. I don't have to ask anybody for permission. I love that part of, like, what we do.
yeah, no, I'm in the same boat of like, I'd love to just build out my team more and like have label type pieces, but just like working alongside me where I can be like, yo, I need help with this. Can you handle, you know, this side of things, this side of things? Also, yeah, I feel like the stuff I have been offered too is like it's always cool and like I appreciate what they have to put on the table, but at the end of the day, I'm like, this is stuff I can kind of just do myself. Like you're not really maybe I just haven't gotten like popping enough or hot enough where it's like, well, that's really enticing, or it's usually just like, yeah, we could offer like some playlisting type stuff or this. And I'm like, this, like, I kind of just do all this stuff already, you know? So what are you're going to take a percentage
Yeah.
of my back
Yeah.
catalog and do this stuff. And I'm sure you'll get some money, advanced. And like, that's,
Uh-huh.
getting a decent sized check is cool, but it's like, seems unnecessary.
Yeah. Because you already built it where you know this that money's gonna come over time. Whatever that advance is, it's probably just a 8x or 15x of what you're making every month right now. So it's like, I can just wait and bet on myself and, like, do the job that you're saying you're gonna do, and then I don't have to owe you anything. Like, that seems smarter to me, you know? Um, what does your team look like right now?
I got my engineer, um, who mixes and masters all my music. Um, I have a videographer. I have a couple videographers I work with. I have a graphic designer who helps me with just random projects when I need it. He's working on something right now. Um, and then other than that, it's just random, whether it's like friendships, stuff I made over the years, like, with you helping book this tour, or like other friends who, might like I have a good friend who, he runs, it's called High Off Life. It's like an internet radio freestyle channel, and I just met him through doing the show, but then we became friends, and like he helped me land some stuff with Red Bull recently, because they needed rappers, and he was like doing some talent scouting type stuff, so he was like looking for artists. So a lot of it's just like a base team, but then also just friendships of people who you're cool with over the years, and you know, if I have an opportunity for them, I'll like reach out to them about some stuff, vice versa, and kind of just build that network.
Yeah. Yeah, your network is everything, man, regardless. Um, and also the way you kinda navigate within that and kinda knowing, "Alright, when am I asking for too much?" Like, how to make those ask when you need a favor for something, or, like, how can I add value to this person? And, yeah, just balancing that, like, give and take when there's not, like, a solidified, like, uh, relationship of, "All right, I'm your booking agent. I'm your this." It's like, how do you maneuver, like, having friendships and doing business together? I think that's really important, and I think, just from knowing you over the years and working together in different ways, I think you do a good job at that, and a lot of artists need to be better at it because some people come out of fucking left field and just start asking for shit, and it's, like, very obvious when, it kinda doesn't go both ways, you know? So yeah, I appreciate you for having that type of mentality and, just handling yourself a certain way.
Yeah, likewise, man. I mean, you've been the same way in my life for years. It's like I don't know if it's like a communication thing or just how people maneuver, but like in my head, it's always been obvious on maybe it's just like a skill I have where like I know how to build genuine friendships and network with people without like just asking for stuff or like expecting things. I never expect anything from anyone. Like it's just like it'd be crazy for me to
Right.
like meet someone and be like, "Hey, I have this demand. Can you help me?" And it's like the people who reach out to me on a
Yeah.
regular basis where I'm like, "Bro, I don't know who you are. Why would you like what do you it's like feature on my song, bro. This you'd be hard on this 16." And I'm like, I don't know you. What? I would never slide into a random
Yeah.
person's DMs and just be like, "Yo, this song is hard. What's up?"
Yeah, you owe me a verse, bro, because now we know each other on Instagram.
Yeah, that's almost the energy sometimes.
It's like, what
Or
the
it
fuck?
or it's like you'll be, like somebody like they'll start a conversation with like a genuine compliment or something, and I'm like, "Hey, man, I really appreciate that." And then they're like, "Oh, we're cool now. Can you do this for me?" And I'm like, "What?"
Can you put me in touch with X, Y, and Z? It's like, bro,
Yeah.
I'm not sticking my neck out for you that I don't even know each other, you know? Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like no etiquette for some people.
So you have no manager, no one doing, like, social media content. That's all you right now and kind of always has been?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. That's really respectable because you're super consistent and good at content. Like, I feel like you found the type of content that works for you to not only connect with your audience, but also reach beyond that. Because I know you've had some, like, viral moments. Um, so to know that you're, like, just kinda locked in and doing that all yourself, aside from the music, like, making the songs, like, you have producers and engineers and stuff that you're working with, which, I mean, that's totally normal, and I think everybody should have some help on that side unless they're just wizards. Um, but yeah, doing that all yourself, that's super dope. I didn't even realize. I figured you maybe would have a manager or something at this point. Um, but that's what's up, dude. You're fucking grinding. You're crushing it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's funny when I talk to certain people like about, whatever opportunity and it's like it's just they're expecting like a manager or something to like answer the email or a call or whatever and I'm just like, "Yo, it's
Uh-huh.
me." I'm like they're like, "What are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
what do you want? What's up? I'm here."
Yeah. No, but it also makes sense to me. Like, I'm not shocked by it by any means because I know you and I know that someone that's been around for a long time, you kind of have to understand the business and like what you need and what you want and how to communicate. That's that aligns with the fact that you've been around for so long. And I feel the same way about myself, which is why I've kind of stepped into the role of like managing some other artists too. Cause I feel like I don't know everything, right? But I know I can work hard. I know I can communicate. And I know most times it's like, oh yeah, I've been in that position before, or I've been, asked about this, long time ago before I had this going on or whatever. So just experience. And I think now more than ever, uh, artists and managers need to think a lot. more alike. Like I think there's a lot of managers that are taking on more creative roles, like because of content and everything that's so in the forefront of like what you need to be doing. And then like artists need to understand, how to build catalog, how to communicate, how to do certain things that like managers used to do and like strategically plan out this and like, all right, here's the game plan, here's the vision for this. I'm going to connect you with this guy. I feel like a good manager and a good artist kind of share. There's like more in the Venn diagram, if that makes sense. So the fact that you're kind of like wearing both hats for yourself, it makes sense to me. I'm not shocked.
Yeah, the roles are blending a lot more. Artists,
Definitely.
manager, like everyone's kind of just doing a bit of everything.
Yep. Teamwork will make it happen though. Well, dope, man. I'm glad you were able to jump on. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about. I'm definitely open to it, but we're coming up on like an hour here. Um, you got anything else that you wanted to cover or ask about or anything like that?
Specifically, I don't think so. What do you? I guess
Kind of a loose format, if you couldn't tell.
yeah, that's that's the best way to go about it. What musically, what do you got going on in the near future? Are you dropping? You got a project in the works? Did you put one out recently?
Yeah, I just dropped an album on the Dylan Reese side called Jigsaw. That came out in December, and I did the Jigsaw tour with Ollie in January. Me and Adam are doing Jigsaw Part 2 in April. So I'm working on that. I'm like really on the road a shit ton this year. I've kind of got the whole year like mapped out. A lot of stuff I haven't announced yet, but um, I'm taking this time, meaning like February and March, to kind of make some new music and just like feel out what I want to do next. Um, Last week I dialed in some acoustic versions. So last year I did Unplugged Volume 1, where I kind of did like a greatest hits, if you will, but acoustically. And I chose to kind of do that in 5 or 6 song like segments. So I'll probably do like once a year and just pick like older songs, recut them, do them like over like just keys or like just acoustic guitar or something like that. So I picked the 5 I was going to do for this year and I knocked those out this last week. So that was like really fun to get in with Sham and just like, yeah, strip back some old music and like make new versions. So I'm going to drop that in March. But as far as like new original music, even though that is original music, but you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Just kind of like making new stuff and like filling out what I want to do and just letting the album breathe a little bit because I'm really proud of that project. And yeah, just going to tour that a ton. On the Ellis side, um, I'm rolling out Rap Dylan 4. The first single called Ungrateful just came out. And I'm going to basically drop bi weekly singles all the way through July, which you're on one of them. So I don't know if you set that up and you already knew this was coming, but that was really smart.
Part of it.
That song is called Already Here, and you fucking smoked it. So people are going to love that song. I'm really excited to put that one out.
Hell yeah, man. No, I definitely it was a part of it was a genuine question, but I also knew we had the song, so it was like a 2-part thing. But
See,
yeah,
you're
that's
fucking smart.
I'm trying, man. Trying to get in my podcast bag,
It's
interviewer
it's funny
bag.
too because that on that song, I said a line about how I got booed off stage at a Schoolboy Q show. I don't know if you know that line or remember that line from
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
verse, but I just told that story on the episode that just came out on this podcast. And I said, like, I thought of it because I was listening to that song and I was like, yeah, I got to tell that actual story because I just kind of referenced it real quick. And that story's just been on my mind because it just helped me like realize how delusional I was and just how I wasn't going to take no for an answer. Like, I should have just quit after that happened, but I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm sick still.
No, man. Props to you because I don't think I've definitely gotten like no reaction, dead crowd. They weren't messing with it, but I've never gotten the boo. But I
Bro.
could see if you're opening up, if your music didn't align with Schoolboy's music, and there's a bunch of people waiting for Schoolboy Q. Not even you, just anyone. They could just be like, get the fuck off the stage. But that's you got
I
to.
mean, it was 2012, bro. It was my music was dog shit. So I don't even necessarily blame anybody. It was a crazy move for someone in the crowd to just boo some fucking innocent person. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, nah, I'm nasty, guys. You guys are just wrong. Like, no, it was fucking crazy. I'll send you the episode. You'll listen to it. It's fucking crazy.
That's the confidence you need though to go to chase this path is like that type of just
Facts.
there's been I mean I have so many stories in that world where I'm like I look back on it, I was like I was insane for thinking this certain way or doing this certain thing, but it was like I didn't bat an eye at the time. It's just a part of the grind.
Mm-hmm. That's that irrational confidence, right? Like that J.R. Smith of just like, why are you taking that shot? But then it goes in and you're like, oh.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Sometimes it lands.
100%.
Yeah, speaking of that, we got a hoop soon. You're moving back to LA, you said?
That's the plan, man. That is the plan.
Come on. I know you tapped me in for a men's league once or twice a couple years ago.
I think that'll be when I get back, that'll be the first thing I'll reinitiate is to get in a men's league and just recruit a squad. I'm
Please.
itching.
Let me know. I'll play center. You know me. 5'7".
Let's go. Triple double. You can be like Jokic out there. It's fucking.
Yeah, right. That dude's a freak. All right, dude. Appreciate you again for jumping on. Hopefully there's some people that got some gems. And we'll have you back on in a little bit, maybe after the tour. Talk about, I'm sure you'll have some stories. Maybe an episode with Adam too, so we can all just shoot the shit, because I think you guys should meet anyway. But yeah, thank you again. Any last words? Actually, before I go, I wanted to do this. I had this in my mind. If there's a piece of advice that you could give yourself when you were 19 or something, like when you first started making music, what's a piece of advice that you would give your very young self?
Hate this question because I feel like I have to say some profound statement,
No,
but then
no,
I'm
you
always
don't
on the
have to.
spot. I know, but in my head, I'm like, you gotta say the right thing to him. Honestly, it sounds cliche, but I feel like just keep going. Like it's a long road. You're doing great. Just keep pushing.
Fair enough. I mean, I think that's good advice for anybody. And obviously, whether you got that advice or not, that's what you did when you were younger, and it paid off. Cheers to you and salute to that. I think that's good advice.
Hell yeah, man.
All right. We'll sign off. Thanks again for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week. JZAC, thank you again, and I'll see you very soon. Much love to you.
Peace out, bro.